Hello, everyone. It's Dan King here, as always, with another fireside chat for you. It's my pleasure to be joined by Susie Carter, the masterful profit coach. On the fireside chats, we profile creator CEOs. So these are brilliant CEOs who really care about the human side of business. They're strategically sharp, but also so human. And I can't think of someone who those qualifiers fit more than Susie. Susie, welcome to the show. Would love you to tell the audience what you do and the wonderful story of what brought you to this point.
I would love to. And Dan, thank you. Thank you for doing all the amazing work you're doing in the world, right? We need more Dan Kings in the world, right? To really
Oh,
support us as entrepreneurs because we call it lonelypreneurship. It can be hard, right? Especially the bigger you grow. It's like, who are my peers? Where are my peers? Where are the people that are playing a big game? Because we still have those unanswerable questions, but you want it from someone who's walked that talk and really walked that journey. And so this is the journey that I've been on my whole life, right? I am a serial entrepreneur by choice because nobody can manage me and no one can be the boss of me. So I learned early on I need to have my own business. And so this is business number 10, right? I love to build businesses, sell businesses, and in that it's been up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? My first business, my vocation was I was a hairdresser, right? So 15% of anyone's financial success is based on their vocation, right? So if it's a hairdresser, it's how you cut color hair. If you're an equity investor, it's who you are in building those relationships and the details of that job. If you're a doctor, it's how you do your surgery or how you serve your patients. And the other 85% is sales, marketing, operations, and finance.
hmm.
So I had to learn early on the business side of business, right? I got married young. I got divorced young. I had a bad picker. I didn't know how to pick a husband, right? My dad said, when you're 18, go get married or go get a job. Choose. So I did both, right? I can do this. Yay. I'm very coachable. And then not knowing what that meant, not knowing how to pick a mate. So I found myself as a single mom raising two little girls with no child support, no alimony. I'm like, I got to hustle. I got to figure this thing out. So as a hairdresser, as a technician, I did $250,000. I built my first business as $1 million salon and spa. And it really came down to how do you build a profitable business? Paul Mitchell, L'Oreal, Joico, Wella found me and said, how are you doing what you're doing? That just doesn't happen in our industry. There's 300,000 salons and professionals, and nobody's making $1 million, and they're not, as a technician, not doing $250,000. So I started consulting just from a passion. It wasn't a business. It was like, oh, you need help, Dan? Let me show you. Let me show you. And people are like, do you have a book? Can you sell me that? I'm like, nope, I don't have a book. Nope. So I'm like, okay, well, let me write a book. And so I wrote up my first book, and there was one publisher in our industry, and they denied me. So I'm like, fine, I'll start a publishing company. Nobody's going to tell me no. So start a published company, published my work under that umbrella for, 20 years. That was my main business. And then we started a large membership site in 1999. Think about that, Dan. 1999. There was no Google, right? There was no software share. We had to build everything from scratch, right? And we're just like, oh, this membership thing, let's do this. So we were such early adopters, but we built that business to a multi-million-dollar business. Our first website, this is scary, Dan. First website was $500,000 because we had to build out the Infusionsoft. We had to build out the ClickFunnels. We had to build out, the WordPress. We had to build out the CRM inside of it, right? So we had to build all this stuff inside of it. And then the education portal, there was no Kajabi, Teachable, or whatever one you're using. We had to build that from scratch and learn, right? To go, oh, well, we want to sound so easy. Put these classes online. How do you do that? So that's the journey of how I started this is really listening and looking for the market, what needs to shift. I started in the entrepreneurial space. I was teaching at this millionaires forum because we were raising money I didn't have $500,000 to invest in a website, so we were raising money. And I said to the founder of the company, I'm like, you're teaching people to raise money, but they don't have systems, they don't have infrastructure. You got to teach this. He's like, great, you teach it. Okay, but I don't know anything about your business. I just know about salons and spas. They're like, it's the same. It'll be fine. It's not the same. I had to get over my fear of that because you just get thrown in a fire. And entrepreneurs like yourself would come up to me and go, "Can you teach me how to do that?" I'm like, "I don't know about your business." And finally, when the universe or God keeps telling you to do something, you figure out and you do it. So that's how I jumped to just entrepreneurship and then sold my training and development company to Ritker's Publishing. So it got me into this entrepreneurial space.
Got it. And I have to ask one background question. There's so many I could ask, but I have to ask, do you recall what, both as technician and running the $1 million salon, I'm presuming that's top line. Do you remember what you did bottom line in both of those?
Yes, the first couple years, nothing, right? I
Yeah.
remember crying, going, I could work at McDonald's for more
Yes.
than in this
Yes.
business. There was no profit. And that's when I really started getting in the minutia of money. Because I'm like, how do you do $1 million and not have profit? Right? I was paying myself, but it was a very modest salary, right? Your payment as an owner is the value you bring is your profit, right? That's your bonus. That's
Yep.
theory of it all. And so I'm like, what's missing? And I believe, Dan, that business is like this combination lock. Remember these from school or maybe the gym?
Yeah.
One little tick off and this sucker won't open, right? Well, our tick on the money and charging what we were worth and our overhead, the ticks were off. And so when I looked at the ticks and I really dug deep, I realized that we were charging $5 too little. So every person that came in, it was only $5, but you times that times 300 a month, times 12 months a year, it was $70,000, which was our profit. So our technicians had to up service and sell every single client for us to hit profit. Well, they just don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? So we came up with this thing called the base price worksheet. Because again, I got to teach it for myself. And then you go, well, how did you do that? So I'm like, how do I teach people how to do this? Right. So I created this something called base price worksheet that you put in your overhead, your capacity, and really look at what does the base price have to be like, no kidding. So don't undercharge because I was a slow bleeder, right? We were doing great on gross, but sucked on profit. There wasn't. So we're a slow bleeder. We didn't have a business. I owned a job.
Yeah.
And so looking at that going, I got to teach other people how to, it was like the biggest epiphany. Because if I would have continued to do that year over year over year, what a waste, right? And to go, So then we shifted that, and then we got our profitability in that business to 20%. My profitability in my current business is at 42%, right? Looking at the number, and I'm like everyone else, I didn't like math. I did not like it, didn't want to do it. I would get so frustrated with my CFO, my CPA. They would talk, and it just sounded like, remember Charlie Brown's teacher? That's what it sounded like to me. And I would try to pay attention. Like if Dan starts talking money, my eyes would get big. Like that's going to help me pay attention. And so I would go away and go, how do I make this in my language? Entrepreneur, creative. How do I create a spreadsheet? I love spreadsheets. Only because once you get it done, I didn't make the spreadsheet because I didn't know how to use Excel. But I would talk to someone like Dan. Okay, here's what I want to know. What do I need to put together? Right. So my CFO would help me put these spreadsheets together so that I understood the creative. And then my clients and students would go, can I have that spreadsheet? You want my spreadsheet? Like, it's not a CPA spreadsheet. It's not following CPA rules. They're like, I don't like the CPA rules, but it does. It just doesn't speak that same language. Right. And then here was my pricing strategy back in the day. I just want people to feel good about where they're at. No, I sold my business for $10 million to Ritker Publishing. That's a big deal. So I need you to know where I was at, right? So you would say, can I buy this system or this spreadsheet? I'm like, well, how much would you pay for that, Dan? What's that worth to you? That was my pricing strategy back in the day. And then you'd say, I'd spend $1,000 or I'd spend $900, whatever. I'm like, sold. How many of you?
Done. I'll take it. Yeah.
How many of you want that? And everybody raise their hand. I'm like, this is so much fun. I would come home from events and go, I just sold $100,000. And my partner would go, what did you sell? I sold this. He's like, we don't have that. We do now. I think that speaks to the creative CEOs to go, don't tell me no, right? If I'm having the challenge as a business owner, right, somebody else is having that same challenge. The challenge is we're all afraid to talk about it because we feel stupid, right? Versus I'd rather find colleagues like yourself and go, Dan, here's my challenge, right? How do I do this? How do I package that? What I do know, I'm amazing at what I do know. And I learned a long time ago is I don't have to know it all. But if I know that I don't know, I know that I have a Dan, right? I know that I have someone else that might be able to help you. So I don't have to know it all. I know what I know and I know it very well. And that's why my clients started calling me the profit coach, because I'm like, there's money all around us, right? And math is money and money is fun. Nobody likes the math. Well, you might like the math and the line of work you do, but most people don't like the math. But we love the money and the benefit, the profit, right? Not just the gross, because that wasn't fun. Having money, which money just gives a freedom. I'll let you get next
No. This is fantastic. I'm enjoying the show. And there's, again, so much richness in that. I think the top line is such a vanity statistic for so many people. It's the thing that we put in the window. And just like you say, we don't want to appear vulnerable. We don't want to appear like we don't know what we're talking about. Part of the reason I think people talk about the top line so much is because of exactly that fact. They just need to. And I think as entrepreneurs, we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, right? So there's this need to say, I'm worthy, I'm something, I'm enough. And my top line is just an easy way to begin that conversation, right?
What I love is you have the courage to ask it. Most people, like, I ask that all the time because I'm comfortable with it. And then people get all like, well, that's none of your business. Well, you just told me what it was or wasn't just by your response, right? I think we have to normalize, especially in business, we have to normalize the financial conversation. What should your profit be? People go, 10%, 10%. Like, if you're doing things right, you should have a 10% growth, right? You should. I find people keep having the same revenues or little incremental growth, and they go, I've been in business 10 years. Have you? I think you've been in business 1 year, just repeating it 10 times. Right? But it's true. Like, you got to have that strategy. Go, how will I grow? What's the combination to get from 1 million to 2 million, from 2 million to 5 million, from 5 million to 10 million? There's a combination. Yes. And you may not know that combination, but Dan might know that combination. I might know that combination. Right? Surround yourself with those people who are playing bigger, get a little uncomfortable. Dude, I'm in some networking groups that these people scare the bejesus out of me. I'm like the little fish, but I love it. I just sit back and be quiet and go, let me take notes. Right? I don't want to be the teacher all the time to go, wow, I'm just using Dan because we're on the show together, right? He has this amazing skill set and can look at my business and see 10 things I'm not doing, right? Or 10 things to make it more valuable, right? That's genius. So when you look at where's your tribe, and your tribe is not the people that you pour into, the tribe of people that you can glean from, learn from. I could just be a fly on the wall. That's the group we're in together. We're like, I could be a fly on the wall and just learn so much from people to go, ooh, where are the game changers?
Yeah, I love the humility of that, because sometimes we approach growing a business from the perspective of, I need to have all the answers and I need to tell others that I do. I need to be this business genius and convince you that I'm a business genius. But there's something beautiful about the humility of facing the difficult question, as you just did. That powerful feedback, right? Yearning to get that powerful feedback is the humility that is part of the combination always to grow a business, no matter what level you're at, right?
Right. And the truth will set you free to go, I just need it. You got to find someone to tell the truth to, because you're pretending. Like we all are, right? We're entrepreneurs. You have to have high ego. You have to be, unpenetratable. You have to be like that superstar. And then you have to go, who's going to help me? Right. I think I learned that early on, because I went from being a salon owner, which I, discounted. Right. I remember back in the day, Geraldo Rivero interviewed a prostitute, and he said, what made you choose this profession? And she goes, well, it's either this or be a hairdresser. And I'm like, oh my God. That's our reputation. And so I was now teaching at this millionaire forum, and my coach at the time, he was Dale Carnegie's #1 trainer in the world.
Wow,
in the world. And I'm like, Doug, I feel like a fraud. He goes, look, you've built this 7-figure business in an industry that doesn't do that. So just tell people, I have a lot of answers, and the answers I don't know, I have this amazing community that can answer them. The minute I just said that had me plug into like the group we're in. That had me find those people, because I'm clear I don't have all the answers, but I still want to serve my clients and go, well, can Dan help this client? Because at the end of the day, the client's going to remember me because I gave them you. Your client will remember you because you gave them me. To go, well, and I know I'm not the right coach for everyone. So to go, Well, who is? If it's not me, who? Because
Yeah.
what's more important, if we're all clear about being an entrepreneur, is not just about money for me, right? It's about the difference I make and the legacy that I help people create. And that's going to take a bunch of people, not just Susie. I'm not that egotistical that I'm the only answer. No,
Yeah.
there's so many people who need to hear it a different way, right?
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
creative entrepreneurs, right? As you grow, you need more systems and strategy, and you start thinking that way. When you start, you're just ignorance on fire. And that was me, ignorance on fire. I'm like, who do I need? Who can help me? Who can help me?
Yes. Yes. Well, speaking of service, I'm curious now, is there a particular focus, a particular kind of customer? Like, how would someone determine that there's a pretty decent chance they might be a good fit for working with Susie Carter?
Oh, that's a great question. So really, I work with that entrepreneur that is stuck, like you've taken it as far as you can go. And that
Mm.
stuckness starts at about a million, right?
Hmm.
You're like, I got to get to 10 million. 10 million is my sweet spot. After my 10 million, I get bored because it's more corporate. We've got to put more layers in, right? I'm still a
Mm.
real entrepreneur. Right. So then I find people that's good at that over 10 million. So I don't want to leave you hanging. I want to take care of you.
Yeah.
Right. So I've worked in so many fascinating industries. Right. So the craziest one I worked in is one of my students' clients had a hardware store, like a Home Depot. And in the middle of the hardware store, the mom didn't want to sell hammers. So she said, I'm going to sell these men diamonds and real
Mm.
diamonds. Because Dan's wife's birthday is around the corner, girlfriend's around the corner, and I know that, and he's not going to go into a jewelry store. So in the middle of the hardware store was doing a million, the jewelry store was doing 3 million. And when they hired me, they
Mm.
said, I think we want to pull the jewelry store out and have it on its separate location. I'm like, no, no, no. Because mom, or the salespeople, the person would walk by and they knew everyone. So it was like, hey, it's your anniversary. Hey, it's Christmas. And she's selling, beautiful diamonds, like not tchotchkes, right? And watches and pearls and high end jewelry in the middle of hammers, right? Because it
Yeah.
was just safe and like, oh, great. Give a dude, it's like, oh, I need that too. Let me get that and done. Check. So that was a crazy business. So it's really any entrepreneur business that is growing to that next level. And you're looking at how do I up level? How do I scale this? How do I
Hmm.
make myself duplicatable? How do I build it so I can sell it? Right? Because that's the
Mm.
end game. You're either selling it to yourself or we're building it to sell it to somebody else. And if I can get entrepreneurs to think that way, you build it from the beginning completely different.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You look from day one. I've looked from day one, build it to sell. I don't know who I'm going to sell it to. I'm building this business to sell it. This is my 10th business, right? To go, who will buy it? An educational company, somebody like a Thinkific, somebody like that, right? To go, who wants to monetize what it is that we're doing? Someone then complement to what I'm doing would be a
Yeah.
great acquisition partner or a buyer. And if not, it's providing me an amazing lifestyle, to be able to travel the world and do the things I want to do and
Yeah.
make a difference in the world.
Yeah. I love the idea of thinking about selling well in advance. It's very smart to do. I was fortunate, my first business failed. My second one I sold, I did not start it with the intention of selling it. I got a little lucky. At a certain point, I realized, ooh, I should be selling this. And I kind of set an
Yeah.
intention and I called around and I got lucky that the second potential buyer bought it. But I could have done, I'm sure, and learned from you so much about setting things up in advance. There are a
Yeah.
couple of general suggestions that you find for the folks that come into your world. They're 1, 2, 3 million. In the end, if they're able to get to 8 to 10, now they have something they can really sell. What are some things you really wish they knew?
Well, when I look at clients, it doesn't matter if you're doing a million, 10 million. One of the biggest things that's missing is their plan, like their business plan. Right. And so every time I bring a new hire in or every time I bring a strategic partner in, I've got to reiterate what the plan is. Right.
Hmm.
So I use my business plan every single day. Right. Because I'm like, oh, you need my ideal avatar. Here it is. Oh, you need
Yes.
our sales plan. Here it is. Oh, you need our reach. Here it is. Oh, here it is. Right. So you compile it once, but you use it for years. And
Hmm.
then I don't get distracted because this is creative entrepreneur, get distracted by the sparkle, right? The squirrel, the sexy opportunity, because there's always a sexy opportunity. And a really good salesperson, and entrepreneurs are great salespeople, we can sell some sexy stuff. And so I find that we get so busy being busy and all this opportunity versus no, is that in my plan? I have to do that every day. Because I get so many people who want to partner and play and, oh, well, let's sell this and let's sell that. Doesn't fit in my brand. I love you, doesn't fit in my brand. But I can introduce you to somebody else that it might fit in their brand, but it doesn't fit in my brand. So learning to say no as an entrepreneur is huge, but it has to start with your plan, right? So that's the first thing. And I know people go, I have it, it's in my head. That's not a plan.
Yeah.
Like, get it on paper so you can look at it and then we can tweak it, right? You're using that same plan year over year. I'm tweaking the financial plan every year. I'm tweaking the sales plan every year, right? And then looking at the marketing plan, but the foundation is the foundation, right? So it's looking at the first thing I do when I work with students is do your business plan. Let me see that. Second is let's get your financial plan in play. So what's the must and what's the goal? So I'm crystal clear. And again, I find students can manage dollars or units. If you say, let's do 10 million, people might go cross-eyed, right? If they're at 5 million, we'll go to 10 million to go, what do I need to do? How many units do we need to sell? Right? What does that price point need to be? And the price point at 5 million is different than 10 million. Our overhead just doubled, but we don't look at re-looking at our pricing. It goes back to that base price that I said, I was realizing I was losing $5, right? As you get your business to $1 million, you got to look at all that. You get 5 million, you got to look at all that. Is the pricing still the same? No, it's not, right? With all the overhead that you've added, but we don't tweak it. We get scared to charge what we're worth. We're scared to charge for profit. Like, don't be scared to charge for profit. When you know profit is your paycheck, just put that on your forehead. Profit is my paycheck. Ever since that first exercise, when I'm crying, I could work at McDonald's for more than that. I'm like, never again. Because it was so humbling. I felt like, how do you make $1 million and make no money? Right? That's just bananas, but that's most of us. Only 1.7% of businesses hit that $1 million mark, right? 80% have jobs, right? They're making 100 grand, grossing 100 grand. Well, that's not sexy. And at $1 million, 80% of those people aren't having profit and aren't paying themselves a proper paycheck. So at $1 million, not only are people not paying themselves they're not having profit, but they're not paying themselves, right? You're like, oh, because we as entrepreneurs, we sacrifice. I'm going to sacrifice for the business. No, it's supposed to be fun. And it's supposed to provide you a lifestyle that a job cannot.
Yes.
So there has to be profit so that you can take care of your family. You can travel the world. You can have retirement. Let me say that again. You can have retirement as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Like, we can build so much wealth with this economic engine. I want to build the wealth for your economic engine. That's my passion.
I love it. It's how many people work so hard to build that $1 million business and they cannot retire, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. I think we're in this space where baby boomers are now, as a result of the pandemic, the pace of retirement is quickening, and yet many of them aren't in a position to do so as sustainably as they want, despite having the skill, the ability, and the luck to have created something that grosses $1 million. I mean, most people will never get anywhere near there, right? And so you really are brilliant in some way if you're able to create anything that grosses just $1 million, and yet such a high percentage of those folks can't retire. It's a tragedy.
Right. And it doesn't have to be hard. I think that's that we make it too hard. It has to be strategic. And if you can put your ego, your she-go aside for a minute, right? You can go, what do I need to do to get to that next level? Yeah. Who do I need? I'm an advocate. Look, I got a lot of coaches in my life, and it's not because I'm a ding dong. I've got 3 financial coaches, a tax coach, their accountants or whatever, right? I've got a wealth advisor, and I have an executive bonus plan coach that helps me with that to leverage my assets, right? Then I have a fitness coach. Right. Then I have a health coach. I'm over 50. Things happen differently. Right. To go, how do I stay at an optimum level? Because this is my machine. This is the product I'm selling. So I have to stay at an optimal level, physical and mentally, to be able to do what I do for the hours that I do. And I love it. And to travel. Traveling takes the wind out of your sails to go, what do I need to do to take care of that? Right. I've got a personal development coach, AKA therapist. Because our jobs are stressful. And I don't use them all at the same time. My financial coaches, I'm checking every 3 months, we're reviewing it. My business coach, when I'm either hitting that next level or need to work on something specifically, right? My therapist, right? I'm checking in. Where am I at? Where's my relationship with my children? Am I working too much? Am I living the life that I want to, or am I just working? Which entrepreneurs, their biggest complaint is work-life balance. Well, work-life
Yes.
balance is a strategy, just like building sales is a strategy. If
Mm,
it's not in the schedule, it's not getting done. And I'm a workaholic. I love to work. It's so much fun for me. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm sorry, Dan, I have no words left. I can't talk to you. We've given all our energy to students or people, their interviews. I felt like I'm robbing my family because I'm too
yeah.
tired from either travel or too tired from being on calls or too tired to go, they don't get the best of me. And
Yeah.
I had to pivot that to go, wait, the whole point that I'm working this hard is for my family, but I don't have time with my family. And you could make money an excuse like, well, I need to pay the mortgage. I need the, I need. Well, you always need, but your kids are going to grow, right? And then they're not going to want to hang out with you. And then you're going to be old and lonely going, what happened? I worked so hard for them. We didn't put in the schedule. So,
Yeah. Just like you need a business plan, you need a life plan, right? And that life
oh,
plan and that business plan should flow together. You can't have the business, which is going to be creating tasks for you to do all the time if you let it, right? You can't let that disrupt your life plan.
I love that you said that because I have a life plan, right? In every area
Yeah.
of my business, my intellect, my character, my emotional well being, my
Yeah.
fitness, right? I have a vision and mission for every single area to go,
Mm,
this is what I said I wanted, right? Versus just not creating that. We're good at it in business, but we don't take that same amount of energy for our personal well being. And to get
yes.
that work life balance is strategy.
It is. It is. You can apply the same brilliance that you need in order to scale a business, the same optimization skills. You can apply that to your personal life as well, right?
Right.
And, it's all the more important for us entrepreneurs to do it because our minds work fast. It's just going to
Yeah.
go off the rails if we don't do it.
Well, I was
Mhm.
talking to one of our colleagues, and he's like, my wife just doesn't feel, and he's a brilliant business mind, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant,
Yep.
doesn't feel appreciated. I'm like, well, what's your structure? He goes, what do you mean? Well, what's your structure to have her feel acknowledged? He's like,
Yep.
what do you mean? Well, what's her love language and what are you doing? What do you mean? So cute. What does she need to see from you? I don't know. I've never asked. Well, go ask and then you can deliver because you're so good at strategy. Just implement the same thing. Right. When I look at sales skills, I did that with my kids as they were growing up. Right. When I look at
Yeah.
accountability, I
Yeah.
did that with my kids when they were growing up. Same. I was good at that to go, oh, allows you a life that you love. And we get
Yeah.
to
And
create it because we're entrepreneurs. So we get to create it. How fun is that?
that's it. And I hear, Susie, that you have an excellent book, which can be a first step for folks who want to create that awesome business, who want to get to that next level. I know the book is at www.poweryourprofitsbook.com/ebook. What's the name of the book, and what are a few things that folks who grab it can expect?
Yeah. So it's the book title is Power Your Profits, right? It was everything I did to build a multi-million dollar company and sell it for 10 million to Ritgers Publishing. Right. So in this entrepreneur building a business, selling a business, building a business, failing at a business, this roller coaster of what are the best practices that I put together to really help us monetize this because I want you to build a business to sell, whether you rebuy it,
Yes.
right, or you position it to sell. Because like you said, Dan, you can't get ready to sell a business. Someone comes to you, they want to buy, and if you don't have your ducks in a row, we'll miss that opportunity. So it's all
Yes.
about how do you build it so it's sexy enough that someone will say, I will pay 10 times profit, right? That's what they did with us. Paid us 10 times profit, paid us
Mm,
10 times profit. So profit's important because that's how companies are monetizing and valuing your business, not on gross. They could care less how much we made, right? We were only doing 5 million. So you can look at they doubled the top line or 10 times the bottom line. We know it was 10 times the bottom line because we had all the SOPs, all the standard operating procedures in place, right? We had every system documented. We had videos that went with it. We had audios that went with it. I was nuts, right? Just to go, because I
yeah.
use it to train people. I'm like, I can either say this 10 times every time I hire someone, or I can just do a video. I can just do an audio. Like I'm seasoned, dude. I'm talking like cassette audios was my first systems I had in place. Go listen to this and come back to me. I'll give you a test, right? That was so much easier. And
Yeah.
so you want to go, how do I replace myself first to go, how do I get you out of the way of that job so someone else can do it? And then you're only working on the highest income producing activity. That's all I work
Yes.
on, the highest income producing activity. This is a high income activity for me. I get to meet new people. I get my brand out there. I get to leverage. So many CEOs are working on the minutia unconsciously. Versus if we tweak that, if we use our combination lock and go, what's Dan working on? Is that the highest income producing activity? Because somebody else can do all that little stuff he's doing, right? So that's probably one of the biggest challenges. But the book has you look at what are those things, right? It was published by Simon and Schuster, so it's a real book. People go, is it a real book? It's a real book, right? And to get with juicy content to really help you. And it's not written so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not numerical. It's like if you're having a challenge with finances, go to chapter 8. Math is money, money is fun. If you suck at selling, go to chapter 6 and look at our sales process. I give you my $100,000 script. Every chapter has an assessment so you can see if you suck or not. And go, what do I need to work on? So whatever your challenge is in business, go right to that chapter, right? Because I'm a creative. Right? My book coach helped me put it in linear order, but I'm like A, B, C, elephant, zebra, QRST, right? So I'm not, my brain works in a different way. My book coach helped me put it linear, but you can start anywhere to go, I need this, right? I need to look at my team right now. I need an exit strategy right now, right? Yeah. So you can see like, oh, what am I putting together right now? So lots of exercises in it because who cares if it's a good book if you don't implement it? I'm going to say that again. Who cares it's a good book if you don't implement it? If you don't want to implement it, don't download it. But I promise you, if you did the assessments, your income, your business would double. Because now you're going to see the blind spot from your perspective versus wondering what's wrong.
Love it. Love it. And you want to talk about truth, right? This big theme that keeps coming up in this conversation, an assessment that is going to force the truth to you. It's going to force you to confront it, right? One way or the other, it's going to be there. And now it's time to implement once you see that truth.
Even when you lie, the students lie about it all the time. I'm like, you are a liar. There's no way you got 80%. I don't get 80% because my business is always growing. But when you lie about it, you know you lied about it. So you're like, dang it, I lied about it.
You know deep down, you know.
Right. We entrepreneurs, our egos are so big. It's like, I have that handled. No, you don't.
We love to end wonderful conversations like these on a human note. So when you're not working, when you are living, when you are not doing the important, powerful coaching work that you're in this world to do, what do you do for pure fun?
Oh, I got to tell you, it's my babies. So my children are now having children. So this is a whole new paradigm for me. And people always say, don't call me a grandparent. I'm a Gigi. So this is not grandma. I don't know. My grandma did not look like this. I'm not going down easy. So really spending time with them, spending time on the river. We have a house right on the river. So really enjoying the quality of life in this season of my life to be able to play. I've earned the right to play, right? And I've set my businesses up to create financial freedom. So I can at any time go, I don't want to do this anymore. And be okay with that and have the financial well-being to take care of myself and my family. So I know it sounds hokey, my family, but they truly are. They were the catalyst to why I did so well in business because I was providing for them.
Yes.
And so my success is because who they were and I didn't have a choice. I mean, I did, but I chose to provide for my family. Mm-hmm. And they are the love of my life. And these little kids are, oh my God, so much joy.
Love it. Love it. I think that's a perfect answer. Such a pleasure to be with you. Learned a ton, and it was a lot of fun. So when you can learn and have fun, that's a pretty unbeatable combination. So thank you so much.
I always say math is money and money is fun. Let's make it happen.